Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 489. Let's see if this will go up anymore. Nope, no more. That's it. I might need to back up. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for joining live. Good morning. If you're joining me live, please say hello. If you end up watching the recorded podcast, please also feel welcome to say hello. I get notifications from all of those comments throughout the day as well. Hi, Naomi and Lisa and Christine. Thanks for joining live. Good morning, Cherie and Lisa. Hi, Lily. Good morning. Hi, Joe. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Pamela and Gay and Carol, Judy, Jane, Simone, Barbara, Annette, Carrie, Glory. Thanks for joining live, everybody. We got friendly kitties this morning. That's nice. No, you don't scratch that. Lisa needs to buy more yarn this week. Awesome. I know somewhere where you can buy some yarn this week. Hi, Justin and Dee. Thanks for joining live, everybody. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. Hi, Donna. Good morning. I worked all weekend, but I think we know the drill. And you know that's what I'm going to say. I did work on some big projects this weekend. I worked on a deadline freelance job that had a very tight deadline. I worked on my new book number 18. I worked on the new PDF tutorials. I know, Joe, I always work all weekend. I could not tell you the last time I took a full day off, but you know, that's the life of an entrepreneur. Hi, Grace. That's the life of an entrepreneur, especially a solo entrepreneur. I think they call those solopreneurs. Yeah, it gets pretty tough. But anyway, so I'll have a new pattern coming out with the new PDF that will be released later this week. And this PDF will be all about the treble crochet, which is a really wonderful PDF because once you get into the taller stitches, I feel like you can really make projects quickly, whereas like in the single crochet tutorial, it's still important to understand the fundamentals of how stitches work, and so starting at the beginning seemed really important to me, and there's still so many reasons to know how to make shapes in single crochet too, especially if you want to do some sort of fine, delicate, or dense work in motifs. I find that to be really important, but once you understand the fundamentals of some of the taller stitches, you can make last minute gifts really quickly, and it just opens up all of the options for making gifts a lot. It makes last minute gifts that much more doable, where if you only have a few hours instead of a few days, you don't have to go shopping at the store. Once you understand the fundamentals of the taller stitches, you can truly make last minute gifts. I suppose that's true with the shorter stitches as well if you make smaller projects, but you can make larger projects with longer stitches a lot quicker. Hopefully I said that correctly, but anyway, in this new pattern, it's going to be a top-down shawl done in top-down increasing triangle motif, which will be one of the tutorials in the PDF for treble crochet, but it's the edging that I wanted to talk about this morning. Okay, so how many people here know what a popcorn stitch is? And I'll wait a second and get my little sample started here. Could I do this sample? I could do this sample on another you know what, I'll just keep going on this swatch here. Yep, I see quite a few people mentioning that they know what a popcorn stitch is. Well, that's good. So a popcorn stitch traditionally is done on a double crochet base. So a popcorn stitch is a type of a cluster stitch done on a double crochet base where you put 5 double crochets into the same stitch, then remove your hook, insert your hook into the first stitch and into the 5th stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and cinch those two together. And by cinching, okay, so here's your 5 double crochets you just made in one stitch. So if you just leave them as is, it's a shell. Once you insert your hook into the 1st and 5th and cinch them together, you end up doing this, and it creates this texture that pops out on your work. So I wanted to show you that visual with my hands first before we do it. But now I will, let's see, do I need to bring the camera closer for this? Not sure. So I've done a couple of single crochets beforehand, and that's something that helps that texture pop as well, is if you do shorter stitches next to the popcorn. So we'll do 5 double crochets in the next stitch, but yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So now we'll do 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we've got 5 double crochets. We're going to elongate that stitch to make it safe to remove our crochet hook. And at this point, it looks like a shell. So now if you insert your hook into the first of those 5 stitches and into the loop on the 5th stitch too, we can pull that stitch through the first stitch, and look at now we've got that. Now it's been pulled together, it's like folded in half, and it pops. And now we'll go back to working single crochet for the next stitch and the next couple of stitches. And you can see, look at how well that pops off. See how that pops off? So now I'm going to do 2 rows of single crochet so you can see how it looks on the body of fabric, not just on the edge. But then after we do this, my whole goal for doing this morning was to show you how you can apply this to larger stitches. So that was doing a popcorn in double crochet, but can you see now why there's any reason you can't do that with treble crochet or double treble crochet? There's no reason why you couldn't do it with a larger stitch too, and do it in other applications. So what I did on the shawl pattern that's coming out is I did got a big old mess going on here this morning. So what I did was did a popcorn stitch as part of my edging on the shawl and did it in a treble crochet base. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a second here. Just wanted to do a couple of rows so you could at least see the popcorn first too. Okay, so there's what the double crochet popcorn looked. You can really see how that is popping off of our work, hence the name. Okay, so for the edging on the shawl that is coming up, we'll do 3 single crochets, then I'm going to chain 3, work a 5 treble crochet cluster or popcorn in the next stitch. So yarn over twice, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got 1 treble crochet. We're going to do 4 more in the same stitch. Yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we have a chain 3, 3 trebles, 2 more trebles, 1 and 2. Okay, so now we've got our 5 treble crochets, but we started with the chain 3, so you want to make sure you're not inserting into the chain 3, and you insert into the first of the 5 treble crochets, go back into your working loop on the 5th chain, so the 1st and 5th, pull it through, Oh, and chain 1 to tighten. I forgot that part in the last one. Chain 3 and slip stitch into that same stitch that we worked the popcorn, and then single crochet in the next couple of stitches. So you can see it's raised and textured. And this is going to be the edging on that shawl. I don't know if, I think the shawl's in my studio right now because I've been working on that all weekend. Uh-oh. So we're going to do another one. We did chain 3 and we'll do 5 treble crochets in the same stitch. Elongate our stitch so we can pull out our crochet hook. Insert your hook into the first stitch and the 5th stitch. Pull through, chain 1 to tighten, chain 3, slip stitch into the same stitch that we worked the popcorn, and single crochet in the next couple of stitches. Okay, and there's what the edging is going to look like on this shawl. Different, unusual, but actually really simple to do, right? And I can show you what it looks like on the back side of the work too. So it's still interesting on both sides as well. It'll take me maybe a minute to go grab the shawl. Does anybody want me to go grab it so you can see a sneak peek of what's coming this week? Lisa said yes. So does Carol. Okay, give me a second or a minute. Alrighty, so here is the shawl. This one was done in 3 colors of Be So Tender yarn, but you could also do this in any weight yarn, in any colors. You could do it in 1 color or 2 colors. It doesn't have to be striped at all. You could use a hand-dyed yarn and get different color work that way, but it is in treble crochet in a top-down triangle shape, so you would start here and then just work as long as you wanted the shawl to go. So this would work in absolutely any weight yarn, doesn't have to be this weight yarn. And then these are the treble crochet popcorns that I just demonstrated, alternated with some single crochet. And those chains too, so we did chain 3, 5 treble popcorn, chain 3, slip stitch in the same stitch, and then single crochet in the next couple of stitches. How beautiful is that, right? It makes such a delicate, it's like, not delicate, it's a little bit more exaggerated than a picot edge, but it has that same vibe as a picot edge. Yeah, like little mini pom-poms, yes. So once you understand this edging, you could apply it to so many other types of projects too. That pom-pom edging would look good on so many different things. Imagine it on the edge of a baby blanket, for goodness sake. Wouldn't that just be the cutest? And so it's a treble crochet popcorn done in 5 treble crochets, but if you wanted to make your popcorns bigger, you could make them with 7 stitches or 9 stitches. You could make them taller with double treble or triple treble. Someone mentioned they would like to do this in bling yarn. Yes, in Be So Sporty bling or Be So Fine bling, the shawl would be gorgeous and would be a little dressier even maybe, and you could still do those. No, this isn't Be So Baby yarn, this is Be So Tender, but you could do it in Be So Baby yarn as well. You could do it in any yarn, in any weight yarn. The only difference is if you do a smaller yarn and you did a smaller crochet hook, you might want to do more rows. But once you understand the ratio of how you do the increases on this, whether you understand the chart or whether you understand the written instructions, you'll see that it's very, very easy to just keep going to make it any size. And like I said, if you wanted the little pom-pom edging to be bigger or smaller, you would adjust the type of stitch base that you do that popcorn in. If you wanted it more delicate, you would do a double crochet popcorn. If you wanted it this size, you would do a treble crochet popcorn. If you wanted to go bigger, you could do a popcorn technique with any height stitch. And if you wanted it to be more voluminous, you could add more stitches to your popcorn. I did a 5 treble crochet popcorn to make this size popcorn or pom-pom, but if you wanted to make them bigger or smaller, you would adjust the height of the stitch and you would adjust how many stitches you put into the popcorn. Does anybody have any other questions about that? Because I could demonstrate a different size too. Who wouldn't like bigger popcorn? Well, it depends on the look you're going for. Sometimes delicate would be prettier, or sometimes more exaggerated would be pretty. And this is definitely more exaggerated than a traditional one, and it's done in a different way. Because we start the popcorn with a chain 3 and end it with a chain 3 and a slip stitch in the same stitch, and then alternate the popcorn with a shorter stitch on either side, we definitely create more of a pom-pom or picot or edging. It's definitely different than, say, when you do a popcorn in your fabric. It's just a totally different application of popcorn. Traditionally, this is probably what you've seen for popcorns before, is putting them into a fabric so that it raises texture on the fabric. And that's cool too. Lots of fun reasons to do that. No, it's not just for an edging. That's what I was saying. Traditionally you would put popcorns in here, but there you're not adding a chain 3 first, then the stitch, then a chain 3 slip stitch. Then you're just doing the popcorn in the middle of your fabric. Whereas up here, to create that alternate height, we're doing a chain 3, the popcorn, chain 3, slip stitch, all in the same stitch, so that we create that height contrast from our short stitches to our tall stitches. So in order to create that height, you need to add height like you do, like let's say you're doing a taller stitch and you're beginning a row. You start with chain spaces to reach that height. Then if you want to go back to short stitches, you got to come back down to be at the height of the shorter stitches. So to create that height difference for the edging, you start chain 3, do your popcorn, and then come back down. Someone was asking about summer 11 treble crochets. Is that similar? No, that's just a shell in there. It's the beginning of a pineapple, and there's 11, but you're not cinching them together, you're just leaving them flat. You're just leaving them flat. So no, that's different. But if you wanted to make a larger popcorn, you could use more stitches, but the technique of popcorn is to make all of the stitches, pull your hook out, insert it in the first hook and the last stitch, into the first stitch and the last stitch, to cinch it together so it's not a shell anymore. If you didn't cinch them, putting lots of stitches into one stitch is a shell, but as soon as you cinch them by joining together the first and last stitch of a shell of stitches, you're creating what they call a popcorn. See, you can see on the back side of the work, it's cinched together. So it's taking a shell and doing one more step, and it doesn't look anything like a shell anymore once you do the popcorn step to it. But great questions, because it gives me more ways to explain things. So does anybody have any other questions? Lots of great questions this morning. Oh, thanks, Pamela. Grace thinks this is a different color combo for me. Yeah, I think it's pretty. These colors, I don't think I have these colors in stock anymore. That's the flip side to designing things and not releasing them right away, is that not always the same colors in stock. But like I said, it would work so well in any color combination and in any weight yarns. I mean, this would be really, really pretty to do in Be So Fine yarn or in Be So Sporty yarn or any of my other yarns as well. And it would be beautiful in one color or two colors. Thea forgot that I'm live. Oh. Uh-oh, Naomi asked a good question and I don't know what it is. Well, I will wait and see, unless I answered it already and I didn't see the name. Let's see. Oh, Thea, I'm slow in the morning too. No worries. Difference between popcorn and bobble. Yeah, there's different. Popcorn and bobble are different as well. A bobble is actually another word for a cluster stitch. Let's see. Popcorn is making the stitches separate and then cinching them together. A bobble is traditionally more of a cluster stitch where you're working all of the stitches in the cluster to the last stitch and not doing that last stitch on each one and then finishing them all off together. So let's see, we'll start with single crochet so we can make them pop on the work. So single crochet in the first two stitches. Okay, so we'll do a bobble or a cluster stitch first. So we'll yarn over. Let's see, what are we going to do? Let's do a 5 double crochet cluster or 5 double crochet bobble. So it's yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Whoops. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now, if we were going to finish that double crochet, we do our last step, but we're going to skip it for now. And we'll start another stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll do that 3 more times. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Notice how we're increasing the number of loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we started 5 double crochets but didn't finish them, and now we have 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops on your hook, and we have a different type of a cluster stitch. Okay, and that's called a 5 double crochet cluster or a 5 double crochet bobble, and we'll single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And now we'll do a popcorn stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, which is a completed double crochet, and we're going to do 5 completed double crochets in that same stitch. Both of these stitches are available in my 88 crochet stitch library or dictionary, which is available as a PDF or it will be available as a print book later this week. And these are both available as videos on my crochet stitch library, which is a playlist here on YouTube, and both explained on my How to Crochet page on my website, where you can see the definitions and the videos for each of these separately. Okay, so we did 5 completed double crochets in this stitch. We'll count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert our crochet hook into the first and insert our crochet hook back into the 5th. Slip those 2 together, chain 1 to tighten, and then we'll go back to single crochet to finish the row. And then I'll do 2 more rows of single crochet and then hold up my work again so that you can see, so you can compare them. So the difference being between cluster and bobble means the same thing. A cluster and bobble are where you work each stitch for however many you're doing partially and then finish the last step of each one collectively all together. And a popcorn stitch is when you work each stitch completely individually in the specified stitch, like you're doing a shell, and then after you finish all the stitches, then you cinch them together. So they're done completely different ways, and in a second I'm going to get to show you to compare them and contrast them side by side. So generally speaking, when you're doing them in a fabric, you're alternating them with single crochet and then working a base of single crochet on the opposite rows, and that's what gives you that raised texture. Here we go. So here is our cluster or bobble stitch, and here is our popcorn stitch. And you can see they definitely do look a little bit different. From here, no, they don't look different. If you were looking at a glance, they're both textured stitches. They're both worked on a base of 5 double crochets, and they're both pretty and fairly uniform. And then up close, you can see this is the cluster or bobble stitch, and this is the popcorn stitch. So up close, you can definitely see that they're slightly different, and they're worked slightly differently. So you could interchange them in a pattern if you really wanted to, because they are fairly similar, same height, same amount of bulk. So what is it that you prefer to do? Do you prefer to do a shell with individual stitches first and cinch them together? Are you comfortable with having 6 loops on your hook and pulling through all 6 by working all 5 stitches? Yes, both are worked into the same stitch below. They're both the type of a cluster stitch, meaning that they're all worked within one stitch. So they're all worked in one space. Generally speaking, are there patterns that are going to give you different ways of doing things? For sure. But I find that if you're working the legs, when I say legs, I mean each individual stitch of a cluster. When you're working them into different places, not all into the same stitch, I call that a decrease, and I would call that a double crochet 5 together decrease if you were working it over multiple stitches. When you're working it all in one stitch, that's when I would call it a cluster or a popcorn. You're welcome, Thea. You're welcome, Lucy. I'm glad this was helpful. Seriously, I would love to see a list of what everybody wants to see compared or contrasted or discussed. Knowing what you guys need help with is so helpful for me in creating content like that. I just happened to, on a whim, decide to compare and contrast these this morning because of this shawl that I just finished. Or that I'm releasing this week. I didn't just finish it. It's been sitting. It's been unpublished for a while, but it is really helpful when we can, if we could get, it would be really awesome to get a list together and then just start chucking away at the list. Yeah, everybody seems to have always wanted to know the difference. Well, that's great. That's great. I find it's really easy to just teach everything individually, so that's why I do the video library, that's why I do the stitch tutorials and so many different things like that. But I don't always think to compare and contrast things, so that would be a great thing to do here as well. Okay, looks like we are approaching the end of the podcast, so if somebody would like to pick a number between 1 and 5, I will randomly pick a quote in one of the Create, Share, Inspire notebooks. You're welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you enjoyed that. It is helpful. It is helpful to, not only is it helpful to learn things and to see tutorials and demonstrations, but when you can compare and contrast similar things, that's when it really empowers you to be able to make choices on your own. So the next time you have a a type of a textured stitch like that in a pattern, you know in your heart that you can alternate with whichever stitch you prefer. Or if you wanted to add texture to anything, once I teach you how to do this pom-pom edging in the stitch pattern tutorial, you can apply that to the edge of a scarf or the edge of a shawl or a baby blanket or any other type of a project. It'd be pretty on placemats even. There's so many applications that you could do something like this. So once you learn something and you learn it really in depth and fully, that's when you have the ability to be empowered and to be able to make those choices to add design elements to whatever you're making. So that's all the more reason to go over these tutorials in so much in-depth detail with the compare and contrast so that you can really understand not only how to use it, not only how to do it, but how to make choices to use it on your own too. So, all right, somebody picked book number 4. So this is the Create, Share, Inspire notebook, volume 1, issue 4. Ooh, I love this one. This is an African proverb. I don't recall doing this one. If we did, it hasn't been in a while, that's for sure. However long the night, the dawn will break. Oh man, is that good. Talk about a simple, how many words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, an 8-word sentence that immediately fills me with hope and takes a little bit of that weight off my shoulders of whatever I'm stressed out about. I really love this. May not always be the outcome that you want, but however long that night is, the dawn will eventually break. I love this. I don't know about you, but I just feel a little bit lighter having heard it. So this is an old African proverb. I'm going to read it one more time. However long the night, the dawn will break. What a great way to start a Monday morning. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the sunrise. How about this beautiful bird song going on behind us? I mean, how pretty is that? We've had little curious kitties this morning. We had a great demo with a compare and contrast. We hope you enjoyed chatting with me and everyone else as well. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.